contractor to do work, that warranty will take effect. When you mix and mash city and contractor work together, when there is a problem, it does take a little work to work those things out at that time, but it's certainly doable.
So scraping the top off and just leveling, then letting the contractor pack it, where he's liable. Probably. Do we have a roller packer?
Yeah, we do. I understand we do have a
A
roller.
vibrator packer we got?
Yeah.
So, let me ask you.
Yes, we do.
So what you're saying is
We have
that
a
the
roller.
only thing y'all can fix
A
is
roller, he said
on
vibrator.
2017
A vibrator
is this.
roller.
It's a vibrator roller.
It's this last page right
Yes,
here.
given the $800,000 budget.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no, your
y'all
roller
wouldn't-
is not-
Y'all wouldn't do
It's a
anything
vibrator.
else
Vibrator.
like this right
He's got a
here?
question.
I believe that if there are some real savings realized by using the in-house forces, and those dollars can go a little further, then you could add some streets. We've tried to be conservative, but there very well could be more money left at the end. And of course, your crews can do chip seals, so if you wanted to add chip seals to that list, you could easily do it.
And my suggestion was not to start doing brand new roads, it's fixing the roads that need to be fixed right now, doing the crack sealing, the potholes, get all of that out of the way, and then we can start doing roads. Fix what we have first, and then start doing the major things. Because when, you need to start from the bottom up and the worst. Stop losing the roads. And you know, start sealing and doing the potholes first, you're gonna have other problems later.
Your crews should be doing that on a daily basis.
That's what I say.
Thank you, Mr. Turk. If we could move on to the Floresville Event Center, we could save the water for last since that ties into the council meeting. We can do the water last and jump into the Event Center repairs. Thank you.
Okay. Just to kind of set up this presentation, obviously, City of Floresville constructed the event center. When did it open? 5-6 years ago? Okay. There were some construction issues, and there was a lawsuit with between the city contractor and the architect. And out of that lawsuit, there was a settlement for $800,000 or so, for the purpose of making repairs to the event center. So we were asked to look at all of the material that came out of the lawsuit and try to make sense of it and figure out what we needed to do and what we could do for the money that we had. And so this is kind of a summary of all of the event center defects that were identified as part of that lawsuit. And then everything above that black line that you see there, we thought we would be able to fix for the $875,000 that was budgeted. Everything below that back line, below that black line, was work that would be done later whenever funding was available. So what we prioritized were 4 things. One was stopping the water from entering the building envelope. Basically, we fixed the roof and we fixed the walls. The second priority was to restore the HVAC system. There was a very serious problem with the central control unit. And the third priority was getting water away from the building on the site. And then the third was to remediate mold that existed inside of the building. We commenced construction on the building repair about a year ago. That work is now complete. And I'm going to some pictures here of what it looked like before we started doing any work. This is pictures of the roof. That's an HVAC unit, and you can see in that lower right picture, there were holes that was very typical of what we saw up there. And this is an aerial picture of the event center. You can tell that the roof is quite rough. The building envelope, these are some very typical pictures of what the envelope looks like. And there's some more pictures of the HVAC control unit. And then we had 2 or 3 rooms that had mold in it. Then this slide is kind of a before and after pictures of what it looks like today. Those 2 pictures on the left there are the old roof on the top and the new roof on the bottom. And it's kind of interesting, to repair the roof, we had to basically raise each one of the HVAC units. So we had to disconnect it, raise it, and connect it back up in a way that it didn't leak in the future. And then, of course, the holes were repaired. It was a very common repair that we did. And then on the right there, we installed some sidewalk drains and got that water away from the building. And the lower right is the new gym floor that was repaired as part of the project. So what's going on today with the event center? We were hired to do an electrical coordination study. The building repair project included no specific electrical repairs other than for the HVAC units to reconnect them after they were raised. There are some problems electrically, and this is an initial study to try to figure out what they might be. Essentially, you have a fairly complex electrical system that's controlled by a main breaker and several sub-breakers. The current main breaker is on what we call default settings. And it's highly sensitive, and if something downstream doesn't go right electrically, a lot of breakers will trip. And that's why when something happens with the event center, a lot of things go out. Okay? What this electrical coordination study will do is allow us to correctly make the settings at that main breaker, so that if something bad happens downstream, only that breaker will go out and not the rest of the building. Okay? It's a complex setup. It's highly sensitive, and we've just got to get those default settings correct. We know there are other problems in the building. There's been a chronic problem with the kitchen, with breakers and what have you, and we were already working on a plan to kind of rewire that circuit, put in some more breakers so that doesn't happen anymore. We know there is a problem with the fire alarm. We need to get a specialty consultant in here to look at the fire alarm system. So there's more things to do, but we're kind of tackling them one at a time. Any questions on the events?
Did he put a warranty on the roof?
Yes.
Do they have an inspection? Do they come out once a year to inspect? Or is that going to be up to us
It's going to be up
to do a maintenance in-house program? Okay.
That warranty was 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, 20
Okay.
years.
A lot of times in 20 years, they send one of their mechanics out once a year to make sure we're doing the maintenance on the roof where the warranty stays in commercial buildings. Do we have any program set up to go up there and inspect that?
First of all, you're gonna have to have someone that knows what's going on.
Well, we need to get somebody who knows what's going on the roof to come out and inspect it before we don't have a crack
And
go
that's
up
not-
there and it rains.
That's why I'm saying it can't be just a regular employee, but it's gonna have to be someone that can inspect the roof that knows what's going
Well,
on.
we hired, the idea of hiring M&S to do this is, first of all, they took all of the different things that happened last season and prioritized them. Then they actually oversaw the construction there for the roof. And I think, how many units are over 24 units on top of the building? That we do have a maintenance contract for the units themselves. So somebody can come out on basis and they change their things and do all this stuff, Baird and Sons. So we do have a maintenance contract on the units themselves so that we can be able to do that. That was really important.
On this electrical panels, I'm really surprised that, like the coolers and stuff are not on separate breakers themselves and not in continuous. I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
things that should be like that,
Yeah, it could have been laid out in a better way, so that it was more functional and less problematic.
Did y'all get a hold of the people that did the electrical? And
We have the building plans.
I know, but the engineer that did it, so that way we could see what kind of schematics that they had.
We have all their layout, we have all their calculations, it's all in the plans. And so now we're dealing with what is actually in place.
So now you're gonna separate everything the way it's supposed to be.
Well, we're going to be setting that main breaker in a way that was initially intended. We don't know why those settings were lost. They just were. They were probably set just fine when the building opened, but lightning strike, blowout, whatever, those settings were just lost and went to default. So we're just restoring those settings so that it works as it was intended. We have all the information on the system that we.
Well, get back to the roof. When you got the air conditioning guy go up on the roof and does his maintenance around his toolbox, then he leaves, he's not gonna tell us he punched the hole. That's why I wanna know if you have somebody go up there and inspect.
I don't know about the old staff.
That could be arranged. I mean, we have consultants that do roof inspections on the.
They hired a special roofing person when we did the.
You're suggesting like have a commercial inspectors, inspect it once a year?
Once a year after the maintenance, because
Yeah, that's true.
I guarantee you, mechanics, when they get up there to do stuff, they put the toolbox down, because I don't see any walking pads or rubber pads for them to put the toolbox down. They're gonna cut a hole, drop a screwdriver, and we won't know about it until we start getting the drip.
Yeah.
So that's why I wondered if we had anybody in-house that ever did roofs during their period of time. You may be hired working in parks or something.
No.
We don't, okay.
But,
Are there any other questions on the event center?
I'll
Is this a
look into that.
stucco building or a cement, or cement outside, or ephes?
I'm not a building guy.
You don't know if it's cement or foam?
I think there is some stucco, but Jonathan Houston is our expert, he's going to be here this evening. I can get that answer to you.
Yeah, because all of this is a stucco, but I don't know if it's a ephes or a Portland cement stucco.
I do that.
Okay.
Just tell John to send it to me and I
Yeah. we can get that.
Is your gentleman here on the water?
Portland
Yes,
cement
yes.
is regular stucco, but the ephes is foam and fiberglass.
So if you go back up to 1A, the water,
Do you want to plug your computer in?
that's going to be this here, Tom?
Actually, he's going to give you a presentation on the USDA project that we.
Then go back on the back table.
And he can present to you on that as well.
Something like that.
No, I mean, it's still
I live there. I miss it. I worked there. No, I worked. It was excellent. Was it? Yeah, it was really good. Long time. Yeah.
No, is it?
Apologize for being late.
No problem, go ahead.
Try to get here. We have, I guess, except for you, Mr. Neeson, we've talked about the going through USDA projects, and I'll just give you a refresher on those and how we were going, how that's coming along. We're nearing the finishing stages of the design on each of those projects. Just to throw a heads up, we are planning to submit those to the USDA for review within the next week or so. And so as the timeline goes, we expect them to have those plans for review for a month to 6 weeks. And once we get those back, barring any comments from them, we will be ready to go to bid on each of the five construction packages. I think we'll be able to do five. There's some things that we will have to consider before we do find those. Close to that. I can give y'all, while I'm looking through this, I can give you just a verbal summary of each of the construction packages that are involved in the project. Construction package 1 is the demolition and reconstruction of a new ground storage tank at the Plaza water site. There was a tank there previously that was old, corroded, degraded, and we have taken that down and installed 2 temporary tanks. That demolition occurred as part of a previous project. We installed 2 temporary fiberglass tanks there to tide us over between old and new. And with this first project from the USDA funding, we are constructing a new ground storage tank at the site. Let me open this up. So we'll have a new ground storage tank there. Size is about 250,000 gallons, if I remember correctly. Yep. And we will take the 2 fiberglass tanks offline, and I believe it's I'm not sure. So there'll be 1 new bolted steel ground storage tank there at the Plaza site. We had planned as part of that construction package to purchase a mobile generator for each of the 3 sites and install a quick connect at each site, so that if one site went down, we can move the generator there, plug it in quick, get the site back up and running, power it back up. In the case that all 3 sites were out at once, we would power up one site, fill the tank, move the generator to the next site, and so on and so forth, rotate those between the 3 sites, and keep that chain going until power was restored and all the sites functioned properly. But I believe that there's a possibility that we may be able to pursue that new generator project through some grant funding, different source for grant. So that's one of the ones that is maybe delayed in the bidding because of the potential for some grant funding for the generator. So that may come out of construction package 1. And hold that, otherwise, appropriate money for something else.
Now, is this USDA fund a USDA grant or a US loan?
It's very, very heavily loaned. Maybe a small grant.
It's no grant at all.
No grant at all. Okay, so all loan.
And what was
And,
this one?
this comes in at 3.9,
3.7.
3.7 million. Now, the one you talk about the generator, we've been contacted, he's been contacted, I put out to bid, actually, asking for request for proposals, for potential grant for us to receive for the generators themselves. And so if we get the generator money, we don't have to use that money out of the $3.9 million that's been approved.
Now, is that 3.9 for all of the 3 water projects he's gonna talk about?
It includes all the packages.
All 5?
Yes.
Okay.
3.7.
3.7.
3.7.
Yes.
you got, they put, here again, from different town. You guys got chlorinating systems to feed these?
Yes.
Are they already set, or do we gotta build new ones?
No,
They're there. A part of, one of the projects in another construction package is to refurbish the existing aerators, aerating towers, at each well site. And we chlorinate at those towers. I'm just not learning how to use the computer. So the only issue is whether we report it before the area or after. But the systems are there. We may switch the configuration, but
Is this,
Then I,
more reporting,
no, it should be automatic chlorinating.
it's automatically.
Yeah.
but we,
Now, do you have a SCADA system?
There is no real SCADA anywhere in the city, so sewer or water.
No. Okay.
Now, again, and that gets into another one of the items in the loan. We're going to be installing some auto divers at our sites. So not quite SCADA, not the monitoring power of SCADA, but it will at least allow us to notify if the pump goes down or the tank isn't filling correctly. We can go investigate, put the ponds at a certain site. But true SCADA.
plus we have someone checking all the systems every day.
Yeah, that's part of the main
Maintenance.
checklist.
How about the inside, the inspection on the inside?
That was done under a separate effort previously. You should, and we did the repairs on which site did we?
bank repair?
Yes.
On all the sites.
On all of them.
On the site. There's a separate contract that we had Texas Tank, and we had them for 3 years, who would come and do the inspections and do the diving and make recommendations. It's time for us to go to another company because the 3-year contract is up. It actually ended December, so it's ending this month. So we'll be bringing a new contract for you all to do, so they do the tank inspections, just
And-
outside.
And when will that be?
Well, typically they start in January, they start with the new year.
Do you have a person go around and test them quarterly? All your water? You got a water tester?
Yes, we have a licensed operator that tests them not monthly, they test them weekly.
Weekly?
And do the samples and all that they draw that they do. And report it to TCU. Yes.
Oh, okay.
They take them in San Antonio, you take them in San Antonio?
Yes, sir, but they do it weekly, some
Weekly.
they have to do weekly, some they have to do monthly, but yes, we have somebody in-house that's certified.
Okay.
But Ms. K, too, the maintenance deal is a separate, it's an ongoing. So, what I said about package one, the ground storage tank at the plaza and the standby power, that constitutes the first portion of the loan package. Construction package two is a well rehabilitation program for the hospital well in B Street. Plaza well was rehabbed a year ago, 18 months ago, so that was not part of the program. They recently rehabbed it. The other two are of similar age. And basically what we're going to do is pull pumps, we're going to send a camera down, basically identify anything that needs to be repaired. Essentially, we don't know if there's any one thing that has failed or not, except for a hospital that has gone down recently. But it's kind of an open-ended project. We don't really know what to expect. There's likely heavy corrosion in the well casings. So we'll just have to see. And we'll set up a bid so that whatever we encounter, that contractor will be able to repair and get the wells back up functioning properly.
So re-pipe them or?
Anything. Repacking,
Right now, we don't know.
Replace the casing. The pumps may be on their last leg. We don't know until we pull them and do a thorough investigation on it.
Our specifications assume the worst,
Right.
that everything needs to be replaced. Once we take them apart and do the TV inspection, we may not need to do everything. So we'll make that assessment at the time. But we're being conservative and planning on rebuilding everything that we can.
Okay.
Construction package 3 is basically replacing all of the meters in the city with automatic read meters anymore. Right now, we have a manually read meter system, meaning our staff drives the system once a month and manually reads every meter. What we plan to do is go through the entire city and replace everything with basically a drive-by reading, so it saves the time of getting out and the human error element of reading meters, writing the number down wrong or something. They'll drive by, they'll have a laptop in the truck. The laptop will collect data from every meter as we go, count number, current meter reading, anything like that. So,
Now, question, just maybe dumb again. You guys got a water line map to town? We do? And will that be able to identify and mark navigation where all your water meters going to be located?
Yes, we've actually located every water meter in the city. You know exactly where they all are. And they've been incorporated into our overall water map of the system, which is part of the USDA work. So we've sat with Andres and his crews, and we've extracted every bit of water line information out of his head, and we've got all that on paper now.
Will we be able, so they'll be able to tell if we got more than one house on a meter?
Yes,
Be able to
we'll be
correct all
sorting
that.
that out, yes.
And with the new meter, they're also gonna have a GPS chip as well.
GPS chip, yeah.
And so that it will also identify each meter. Now, this is the same system that Phelps has now. I think they're ready to go to the next higher level, but we need to get to this basic radio read. It also will give, when it's a GPS map, they're gonna put it in a shape file that 911 will be able to better address where our addresses are.
Now, is this going to take one man, 1 week out of the month now?
generally for a system this size, the reading cycle will be 2 days
2 days?
instead of two guys a whole
Yeah,
week.
2 guys a whole week, and then sometimes it goes back. And then some of these meters are not able to be read because they are physically underwater. And so this way we'll have them on a house, we're gonna relocate them right, we'll have them separated so they can make sure everybody's there and GPS them. So this will definitely make us where we can actually just drive around the
And that's another good point, is that we'll also be replacing, old meter boxes, broken meter boxes, we'll be replacing lids, relocating as needed, things like that.
And you will be able to tell if you got a severe leak somewhere, losing water.
Yes, you'll be able to tell. It'll send a warning signal when he drives by, it'll send a signal that something's wrong, this water's running too long. It's very accurate, so you can tell you how much water you used, what time of day you used it. We have some people who were commercial business and water was being stolen from them, and we can say, this is the time that they had it, they would do so. They'll be able to lock their meter, they'll be able to go and see, and it's gonna run in line with our new water bill that you all approved, that'll be coming out in January. It'll have that new bill, will be able to have that detailed information that we need to have.
Are you going to have a refund program with it, so if somebody does get stolen, then you'll be able to prove it to give them a reimbursement, or you
If
don't
that
do
water
that
went to
here?
that meter, I need to be paid for that water.
Even though somebody's like a,
If that water went through that meter, I need to be paid for that water.
Yeah.
That's one of the agreements that we made with USDA. If it went through that meter, I need to get paid. And we may put them on a payment program, and not charge them late fees, but if it goes to that meter, I have to charge them.
do you got meters set up for contractors now?
What we'll have
They
is a
use a
standard,
fire
what we'll have
hydrant
is,
contract.
yes.
We're gonna meter.
Yes.
Yes, and we'll have a standard meter that we use for residential, we'll have a standard meter that we have now, because now we have a older meter, some have gone out of business, this and that, we'll have a standard, and we'll have some extras so we can put them in and install them.
Cool.
Because the life of the meter is usually, what is it, 8 or 10 years?
It should be longer than that. It should be
Like 20?
20,
20 years, and sometimes people have been living in a house for over 25 years, even 40 years, they have their original meters.
Original meters are slip, they fall, they go, some of them don't turn inside.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guarantee you there's meters around town that
Yeah.
have free water.
Free water.
So that's the third package, it's just a meter, which will do a lot of things for the city. It will cut down on man hours to read meters. It will probably, you'll see an uptick in revenue. You're capturing more revenue.
This is the program that they can bring in, plug into the office, download a computer and print out bills.
Yes, we have, what we've done is pre-qualified 7 vendors
Okay,
that, we have a list of requirements. One of those requirements is that their building, their software had to tie in direct seamlessly with the current building software here to minimize eliminate, additional training for staff and so that's a very important aspect of it, is that's that transition.
That's where a lot of the money goes.
Right.
As long as we have a good backup system. It goes down.
But if it goes down, we can read it manually. It'll have a manual read. If somebody
Sure.
has to get out and actually go look at the meter, it still will have a
It's got a
manual
register,
read.
right.
It's gonna have a register. It still has a manual read, so there is some redundancy in this system.
The batteries on those meters, they vary from vendor to vendor, but I think they average about a 10-year battery life. Some of them are greater. I've seen 20, 25 years, some of them maybe not quite 10, but 10 is a pretty good average for the battery life on the meter. So theoretically, it's a pretty maintenance-free endeavor for a while.
Are you gonna upgrade the meters to all 3/4 inch now, or are they all gonna stay 1/2 inch, 3/4,
The
whatever?
residential meters would be 3/4, 5/3. Anything above that is probably considered commercial meters. I mean, 3/4, 1/2, anything you got. I think we have 120 commercial accounts, or anything greater than an inch. So there's a small number there of larger meters. So by and large, you have, 5 acre. Package number 4 is kind of the largest of the 5 packages. We are replacing some aged water mains in the downtown area. It shows them all.
It's been popping in and out.
There it is.
You can see that. So here is First Street along C Street up to Fourth, right in the meat of commercial downtown. And then along Third Street from C to D, we'll be replacing those mains. There are, on C Street, there's I believe, an 8 and, so along C Street through here, there are there's an 8-inch main and I believe a 6-inch main we're going to be replacing with an 8 and a 12 through here to increase capacity and eliminate. Obviously this is the oldest part of the system, the water system. It started downtown and grew out. So then we'll have new PVC through here, 2 mains. A tie-in main here, I believe this is an 8-inch that ties into the water. And then we'll also be replacing along C Street, 6th to 7th, and E Street, 5th to 7th, and it's connected.
Are they gonna tie into any of that work they did about 8 years ago with all that water main replacement, or the water line replacements they did?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. They're going to tie into what's there, so I'm not sure where that happened. I'll be honest with you.
Or you know where that program happened 8 years ago? They started, or 10 years ago, they started, did it up until about 8 years ago. Water main replacements, water line replacements.
Oh, I'm not exactly sure.
Do we have any maps of that
Well,
stuff?
we have everything mapped. I couldn't tell you. I don't know the age. I don't know the age of those lines when that was done. But we went and located every line in the city. So we have those mains. So if there's a main on, say, 4th Street, it's relatively new.
So do we have any paperwork on that water line replacement stuff they started a while back, and they quit doing it 8 years ago?
This is new to me. So I think I haven't seen it.
Nope,
No.
we don't have.
No.
How do we find out? Who's that guy you talked to
I
before?
know.
We've, I believe we've exhausted all the resources of the city. We have all their maps, whatever plans they had in their files, we've got it. And if that information was not given to us, we just don't have it.
Now, again, I'm confident that those lines are represented in our map. I just don't know, I couldn't point to them and say this is that project.
If Andres doesn't know, you could talk to Vicente Grego, the superintendent that used to be. He's been here, I guess, when Floresville started Floresville. Not that old. But he's aware of where everything was.
We've been able to advance the mapping quite a bit, but there's still a lot of information that we could add. And, well, we have very little, if any, information on how old lines are anywhere in the city. We just don't know. And our philosophy was, and our strategy was to start downtown, which is fundamentally the oldest part of town, where we know when they have main breaks that the pipe is in very bad shape.
Have you cambered that to make sure it wasn't a PVC pipe they replaced or anything, or?
We rely heavily on what Andres and his crews tell us, because they dig up the pipes all the time. And it's old cast iron pipes for the most part, badly scaled on the inside, deteriorating. It's been in the ground for 75, 100 years.
A lot of it's been in the ground, but I know that I was told that they did a piping program, started about 12 years ago, and they quit doing it 8 years ago. So I was just curious where that pipe is at in the ground.
We don't know. I mean, we know about where the pipe is. We can't tell you how old it is.
Right.
So,
Have you got with Vicente Grego?
If he's part of Andres' crew,
No, he's retired, but he was
then
a
no.
superintendent. I guess he was here
No.
30 years or plus,
no.
so he would know. Maybe try to get a hold of him or
Okay.
something and
We can do that.
get some feedback.
Can we get to the 5th day of Christmas?
Yeah, sorry, move on. The other thing that we're doing in construction package 4 is redefining some, or creating some pressure zones based on the locations of 3 plants to help us better move water around in case of a plant shutdown or something like that. Well, a couple things. It allows that. It allows us to track water loss better within the zone. And we'll be installing some isolation valves at key points in the system to better define those boundaries. And that's kind of the little brother of number 4 there is that part, but it's also a very important piece.
will this ever become a loop with the isolation valves, you shut off in case you lose something?
Right.
That's what it's gonna be.
And then for construction package 5 is some modifications to address deficient ADA requirements at City Hall.
Have you guys went out to bid on that one yet?
It's a little bit, it's not, there's larger work going on at City Hall that's not part of this program. There's the money that council approved for some life safety issues at City Hall as well. This is a smaller piece, but will address accessibility at City Hall that we've done in a similar time frame as what's going on there.
There's $100,000 assessed in the grant, in this loan for ADA and fire safety. The city has put together a program of about $880,000 on the tax note for 2016. We went out and hired the same architect, so the same architect's doing it. Our City Hall is too small for 2 different architects. And she will be presenting to you in January.
And is there going to be a committee somehow that helps her delegate everything that's going to go on?
Well, she's met with staff a couple times about where we can move and what we need, and we met with the municipal court judge to see what he needed, and we met with some of the staff to review that, and she's going to bring a preliminary plan of what we put together for the council to decide. If you all want to decide on a committee, you can, but we just want to, staff wants to present back to you what she's going to put together based on some meetings with staff, based on meeting with the engineer.
Okay.
Before we go out to bid, sir, before.
So how much you have for the whole building, 100,000 from USDA?
And $880,000 from tax note 2016.
This looks like a good city hall, this building, doesn't it? So, well, okay.
So that's an update on the USDA program, and you have to answer your questions you might have on that.
When about more or less are we gonna look at that and see who's gonna, I know the engineer's got the specs that need to go on for the remodeling of the city hall, but when are we gonna take a little committee or something so that way we make sure that everything's going right, you know, we're hiring the people and stuff for the contractors.
Okay, so the architect has to come before you
Okay.
to present the preliminary plan before it goes out to bid.
Okay.
She's come up with some specs and some other things based on, she's come to you, I believe, twice now. So she's gonna come to you with her final draft plan, you all bless the plan, and she'll go out to bid. And then she'll come back, as this engineer does, she'll come back and say, here are we've had some bids come out, this is what the results are, this is what the cost will be, that type of thing will happen. Even selection of colors and things like that, you'll have suggestions for what you want to do. I mean, I thought that you would bring at least 2 or 3 different color schemes for the
No,
council.
but
to decide.
I don't want to, me personally, I don't want an outsider come in and looking at, taking bids from someone and saying, well, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do, whatever, without, because there's a lot of local contractors that could probably be bidding as the same,
It'll be,
sometimes.
as we do all of our bids, they're in the local newspaper, okay, and then they have to do scope of work and specifications, they have to come in, they can pick up to do it. If we're gonna break out town to different components, we can, but it'll be a newspaper for everybody to bid on it like anybody else.
And we'll evaluate all the bids. Some of the packages.
Because, back again, I know Mr. Waters is here. He was, on the first plan, he was denied, or what, I guess by y'all engineers, that he didn't meet the specs for everything and
Tim, that's on
was
the
having.
next-
Okay, that's actually on our next, on our council meeting.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying.
So,
I didn't want to.
yeah, we usually, Mr. Jimenez, we hire the engineers and they run the bid process and it keeps it on a fair level.
Yeah.
If there's local contractors, like Mr. Turner explained, that want to put a bid in or want to be part of the project, then they have to go through the process.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have to come to committee and council and then we pick what contractors get to work on these buildings. It goes through the engineers and then they go through the bid process and it's all done legally.
Yeah.
Now, since this is USDA, is this gonna have, do you guys do the federal Davis-Bacon? You have to go out for that?
Have to.
And that's all gonna be a Davis-Bacon bid?
Yes,
Right.
sir.
It's required.
Which controls the wage rates.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, that concludes the workshop. Anybody need a break? Yep. Take a 5-minute break before we start the council meeting.
You responded to
What's that?
I was saying, Joe Tackett does taxes. Monica told me he might not respond.
I didn't know you were that.
There's a